like season 5.
How many episodes are in each season?
They,
like 3?
They changed.
Season 4 has 1 episode. Well, that's more like a mini series or mini. Not even a mini series. It's just a mini podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to your podcast?
Oh man, I fizzled out on that one so quick. I ran out of topics to talk about, and I just thought, nah, I can't be bothered anymore. That's it.
It's done.
It's done. It's done.
Do you still get people asking about it at all, or anyone like messaging or emailing you?
No.
Oh, okay.
At the time there were,
Yeah.
but once it's been 2 years almost, I think, that I stopped
Yeah.
that. So, no.
Which
is good.
When you, I don't want to be a dick, but when you first started it,
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't gonna last.
You should have told me that. You know what? Deep inside, I thought this probably isn't gonna last either. But I want to get to 100, and then I'll think about whether I want to continue.
Yeah.
And I think I got up to 86.
The reason I knew it wasn't gonna last
What?
was because I remember asking you if you listened to podcasts at the time, and you were like, "No, I don't listen to podcasts."
I said that?
Yeah.
I must have started listening to podcasts after. But even then, I never really listened to health podcasts.
Yeah.
Now I listen to a bit of Jordan Peterson's stuff when he talks to interesting guests. But when it comes to training, food, all that stuff, I don't really listen to it unless it's on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But I don't really listen for the fact. I listen for the just the interaction, and because it's most of the time there are some funny parts to it.
I can't listen to Rogan anymore because it's on Spotify.
You don't have Spotify?
No, I have Spotify.
Yeah.
Like I have a Spotify premium account.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like I'm so used to going to Apple Podcasts for my podcast.
Yeah.
That like I just won't use. Like I use Spotify for music, but I don't use it for podcasts.
That seems very. Doesn't seem like there's any barrier of access there. There's literally no reason why you look
It's a cultural shift, right? Like,
right.
The change to use Spotify was really like I listened to the Fraser podcast, the Matt Fraser one.
With Joe Rogan?
You were Joe Rogan?
I didn't listen to it, but I heard about it.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. CrossFit, like I like CrossFit.
Yeah.
That's where I came from. But then like regular Rogan podcast, I just don't listen to anymore. And but it has freed up a lot of time.
They're 3 hours long. It's so long. That's a whole night.
Yeah.
It's longer than a movie.
Oh, not if you watch the Snyder Cut.
What's that?
Like the Justice League movie, the new one that came out.
I haven't seen it. I heard about it, but I heard the old Justice League movie was very bad though.
Yes, it wasn't great. Oh, sorry guys. If you can hear like cars going past every now and then, that's because we are in my home gym in a garage gym setup, and cars go down the street every now and then, and the microphones are picking them up.
I had no idea we were recording.
Hey guys, welcome to the Raw Barbell. Hey guys, welcome to the Raw Barbell Club podcast. It's been a long while. It's been a hot minute. I'm your host, coach, all-around good guy, Andy. Before we begin, guys, check out rawbarbellclub.com/shop online. You can buy all the Weightlifting House thumb tape, straps, all of our Raw apparel, like what Phil's wearing. I was really happy that you wore that to the fight. That was really
it was a
cool.
great shirt, and I thought I'm fighting, so bones are very appropriate.
Yeah, I'm gonna break some bones.
Yeah, or get my bones broken. Who knows? It's a dice, kind of roll the dice sort of thing.
If you like the content that we're putting up a whole bunch more content on YouTube as well as on our website. So yeah, please go check all of that stuff out. Anyway, back to...
And also the quality is very nice.
You like it?
I gotta say, the shirt feels very, very good. I could wear this out, I could train in it. It hasn't shrunk yet after washing as well, so... Good standard.
These are actually... we got these made with Vu. So like that's why they have the SC branding on them as well.
Does he print as well? Does he do his own printing?
Yeah. So so he was the one that organized for us to... Like he was the one that helped get these all designed and made.
Oh, cool.
That's why they have the SC branding as
good job, Vu. Good job, my friend.
He did do a good job.
Yeah, it is actually quality, texture-wise, everything's good.
Nice. Anyway, so you have been on the podcast a lot.
Twice? 3 times?
3 times?
Three
So
times.
this is your 4th time on the podcast.
Did we include the one where we all roasted Yannick for an hour?
Oh, that's 5 times.
That's 5
Yeah.
times. That was a good time.
Maybe even 6 times, because
Really?
were you on the podcast when we first launched, when we were in like Canberra
No,
years ago?
I don't think so.
No. You were there though. Remember when we went to the sauna you were with Kush?
That was in
Sauna?
Tasmania.
Oh, was that Tassie?
Yeah. Yeah, I won't forget that one.
Mm,
Yeah, that was in Tassie.
That was a bad cut for Kush.
That was a bad cut for both of us. Didn't she perform really badly that day?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I had cramps. I couldn't finish my clean and jerks. I was 6 kilos over in that week.
Really?
Yeah, when I was under 62, and I was 67.8 on the Monday.
Kush was 500 over. No, Kush was 400 over the day of.
Oh, that's rough.
When we rocked up to the comp, she still had 150 grams, and she was competing as a 48.
Oh, that's rough.
So we
And
tried
she's
to
not
use
that small.
We
you know.
tried to use the sauna at the venue, and it was trash with infrared sauna.
Yeah.
And then we had to like leave and go to the swimming pool
Yeah.
in the weigh-in time, and then come back, and then she had to rehydrate and stuff in the 30 minutes before.
What a ride.
Yeah, it was a terrible experience.
And
for
it was
us.
so cold as
Yeah.
well.
And then actually she did okay. Clean and jerks just suffered, as they do when you cut that much weight.
Yeah.
But you know, that was a learning experience for me as well as her, and you know, the coaching staff as well.
And she moved up after that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's safer for her.
Yeah.
Way
she,
safer.
She should. Oh well, though now she's 47.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, she just walks around at like 48.
Oh,
She's super light now, I'm pretty sure.
was that by intention?
No, she just like, because she doesn't like train as much as she used to.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Doesn't, I guess, not eat as much, and COVID, I don't know. So she's just
I would have thought you put on more weight during COVID if you're isolated. And she's in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Weed's legal there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if she uses, but that's beside the point. I'm sure there's lots of food going around.
Yeah, there's heaps of food. I
Poutine,
won't-
cheese, chips.
If you eat enough cheese, though, just in one end, out the other.
Well, I'm Asian, man. I don't think our history had that much cheese in it.
Yeah.
We were more like soy and tofu, soybean milk and stuff like that. So cheese has never been that much of a big deal for me.
Last time you were on the podcast, we talked about social media, authenticity, that kind of thing.
Oh, I did do that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then prior to that, we talked about, you know, pre-Commonwealth Games, making it to the Commonwealth Games
Yep.
as Australia's 55 kilo lifter, 56 kilo lifter. And then after that, we talked about post to that.
Yep.
And then we eventually, and a lot's happened since then, basically.
Yeah.
You-
It's been 3 years exactly since Com Games.
3 years since Com Games, and you were like, guys, I'm going to start CrossFit. You did like 3 double unders at one stage. You're like,
I don't think I ever said I'd start CrossFit. I said I wanted to learn how to skip. And I did like four double unders, man. Give me some
you
credit.
did 4 double unders, 2 ring muscle ups.
I won. I've only ever done one. One. I spent 1 week doing a ring muscle up. I did it in that first week, and I never went back to it again. It was just about doing it for me. I didn't care about doing it for reps or anything.
Then jiu-jitsu.
Wait,
Was that after that?
that was jiu-jitsu was before the ring muscle up.
Oh yeah, you actually competed in jiu-jitsu.
Yes, I did. After 1 month of training, I competed in my first jiu-jitsu competition.
How was that? Walk me through. So first, you finish the Com Games. It's, you know, awesome. Everyone's like, wow, you're famous. Yeah, woo,
Yeah, for like 3 hours.
woo, weightlifting.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
as everyone in the public, you know, instantly recognizable.
Yeah. For 3 hours. Yeah, and then no one gives a shit anymore.
So you did that. Talk to me about like what that felt like afterwards.
After, if you guys heard that, there's just a little girl running across the street.
I can't believe
We picked that up.
We can hear that.
Yeah, amazing. She's very cute. Anyway, after that, kind of had a lull. You have this extreme high, obviously, and then when you come back to to earth and you leave that bubble, you've been so focused on that one thing for so long that nothing nothing I had in my life seemed nearly as significant in magnitude as that event. So then it was very hard to stay engaged with day to day because I went from only having one single purpose for those maybe year and a half to 2 years of life to suddenly just doing my 77 and having a weekend and kind of doodling my time in between. So it was very, very, very boring. I don't know if boring is the right word to use, but it was very tame. There was no thrill to it. And ultimately what ended up happening is I had to look for something else. I had to look for the next challenge, or I had to look for something to keep me engaged in maybe that movement side of my life. And
So did you feel a vacuum from just like a time, like the time in your day, like there's just a lot more free time, or was it actually that you just had nothing to live for anymore?
I mean, it's not that bad. That sounds pretty dire. I did have plenty of things to live for. I still had a career I was focusing on. I still had great relationships. I still had things to focus on, but they don't take that much time. And the magnitude and the effort needed to maintain those and see those flourish don't take that much either. So then it was more about when my day-to-day doesn't have sufficient challenge, I just don't seem to enjoy the days as much.
And it was the physical outlet of it that you were missing.
I suppose. I think so. It's just, for me, it feels very different because now I'll have challenges in the mental space in terms of maybe it's a difficult client, or in terms of my little startup, there are difficult problems to solve, but still the thrill I get from it is very different to the thrill I get from physical competition or something that has a higher physical nature to it.
Yeah. And you're not doing physio work at all anymore, right?
No, maybe not in the way that traditionally is thought about. So when I coach and program and things like that, I incorporate the principles into it in terms of loading, exercise selection, avoiding certain positions if you got some sort of pathology, which is it's very preventive, as opposed to I don't do any soft tissue work at the moment. I don't know if I ever will again, but I'm not bagging it. I don't think it's really bad for you, but I just haven't practiced in that way for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still assess people as you would as a coach anyway, but that doesn't lead to a therapy session.
Yeah, it goes into like, hey, I'm your coach and trainer. That's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that, and then you still running M3 as well?
Yep.
What's that? Because that's also had like, it was one thing at one stage, and then it was another, and now it's something else?
Yeah, it's still education. We're moving into the online space very soon. And by very soon, I mean potentially within the next week or two, you're going to start seeing the stuff that yeah.
This is exclusive.
Yeah, it's an exclusive scoop for you. But I don't think it's going to come out, this podcast, in the next 2 weeks anyway, so they'll find out beforehand.
Oh, I'll move faster.
So yeah, that's since COVID happened, we had to pivot off from running in-person workshops to how do we turn this idea into something that's more digitally based.
Yeah.
And so we've spent the greater part of since COVID started till now just developing that side of our company. And that's been the most excitement that I've had in terms of challenge in my own personal growth and journey. Not particularly in the physical side. that's been what's kept me grounded since I've stopped weightlifting. I stopped weightlifting essentially at when COVID reached its peak and we had the full lockdown. That's when I realized that for the time being, that part of me just wasn't alive anymore. That part of me that wanted weightlifting to be my outlet for challenge, for competition, that just wasn't there anymore at that stage. And so I just let it go and I moved on to something else.
And what was that something else? Just the business side of things?
No, I ran a marathon instead.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
So after jiu-jitsu, we're jumping around a whole
Sorry.
bunch. I want you to...
Let's go back to jiu-jitsu.
No, talk to me about what M3 is doing. Give me the exclusive first, and then we'll go back to jiu-jitsu.
I'd love to tell you, except until it's released, I don't want to say anything prematurely.
Okay.
Just because with these things, in terms of especially web development, sometimes the website just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even though we've tested it many times.
So can I guess?
You can guess if you want.
Will you say if I'm right or wrong?
No. But you can do your...
Are you doing like a masterclass thing where it's like, you know, online seminar series with like different speakers and stuff, educating the public?
Potentially. I mean, if you're going online, that's pretty much the only way you can go in terms of education. So, potentially.
That's not helpful. All right, back to jiu-jitsu. So you decided that you wanted to do jiu-jitsu?
Yes. I decided that I wanted to do jiu-jitsu because I've always liked martial arts. My first sport after high school, actually it was during high school too, that I really wanted to do better at was kickboxing. So I started my first kickboxing class when I was 16, absolutely loved it, wanted to go back and train in this gym in Liverpool. And I told my dad, and dad being a protective dad said, that's stupid, don't do it, you're gonna hurt yourself. I'm not gonna let you do it. So what are you gonna do? You're 16 years old.
Yeah.
So I didn't. And then after I had got a bit of money, started working, went to uni, could make my own decisions, I started doing kickboxing in the city, the university, and I just loved everything about it. The physicality, the grit that's required. And then I transitioned into MMA for a bit, all while dabbling in gym work here and there. So after weightlifting, the closest gym to me from my house was a BJJ gym. And I wasn't thinking about going to kickboxing again because I didn't want to do the whole head contact thing, since we know potential ramifications of that sort of
CTE,
stuff like that. Yeah. So I didn't really think I wanted to do that. So I went to jiu-jitsu and just kind of fell in lust with the sport. I can't say fell in love. I would still be there if it was. It was something different. There was competition to it. When you're rolling around with people, there's that side of
intimacy,
I suppose. Yeah, I just crave that man-to-man contact. You know, there's nothing like having a good back take when they're on your back and you're just holding their arm away from you. It's the best. But it was that physicality and that competition that I really got from that. The technical side was fine too, but it was more that I'll call it combat. It was more just going head to head with someone. That was the attractive part for me.
What were the parallels that you saw between jiu-jitsu and weightlifting?
So the actual sport itself is so different, but internally, when I'm competing against myself in weightlifting, I'm just constantly fighting that inner, I guess you would say inner bitch. I really want to dive under this bar, get under it. It's heavy, but I got to do it, that sort of thing. And then when it came to jiu-jitsu, although you're competing against someone, sometimes it's just a contest of wills. And when it was a contest of will, I always saw it as it was a contest of me against myself, as opposed to me against that other person. Because how hard can I push myself to overcome what this person's doing back to me? and then I would just keep going back to that. And I think that's the part that hooked me in both sports.
That's very interesting because I also spent some time doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And for me, the parallels I saw were the repetition of the techniques. So like, you know, you have like, let's say you have a new lifter and you're like, all right, we're going to snatch from the hip, make that perfect. Then we're going to go down to the knee, making sure that when we transition back to the hip, it's that same, you know, bent knee position. We're not deadlifting the bar before we go overhead and then go to the floor and it looks the same. And then we add a little bit of weight and then instantly it's just like completely different.
Technique goes down. Yeah.
You know, but if you spent the time and were diligent, then when you went to the floor and went back up, it would be the exact same lift.
Yeah.
So same thing with jiu-jitsu, I found, like you drill this move, drill this move, drill this move, drill this move. Then when you start to roll, that move comes up and you've just like...
It's intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw the parallels of as, and that's what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
More so than like, you know, if someone had my arm, I just tap because I don't want to have to fight. But you know, if someone had my arm and I knew the move to progress to the next step, I would get a lot of enjoyment in being able to
continuing that flow chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only issue with it was that I was just getting beaten up by doing that as well as strongman.
Yeah. It's hard to sustain both at a high level.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu at a high level. I was just doing it for fun. But trying to do strongman at a high level and then adding the jiu-jitsu on top, just like zero recovery.
Did you find that physically you were very dominant compared to your peers in that gym? Physically?
Yeah. But like, it was in our gym, it was very frowned upon to use your physicality.
Yeah, same as the gym I was at.
Yeah, like, so you would, you know, if you did something dumb, like, just like...
Yeah.
They, you know, especially if you're like rolling with someone smaller or a girl, like, it's just a dick move.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even when you break guards and stuff, like, you know, sometimes, you know, we can just like... break guards. But, yeah, like, you want to, like, do it properly.
Yeah, but it helps so much when you're framing.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the framing component, especially because, you know, we got lockout.
Yeah.
Really good lockouts. Just that stiff arm.
Yeah, stiff arm, or even like when you break the guard with your hips.
Yeah.
Like break full guard. Like bang. Like we can just stand up out of everything.
Yeah.
And if you have locked out arms, they're not coming with you.
Yeah. Were you good at rolling, in terms of actually just creating a ball with your spine and rolling? Were you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Okay.
I lack rotation.
Okay.
Thoracic rotation, but in terms of like rolling up, but I did a lot of gymnastic stuff as well when I was younger.
Oh, that's good.
Do you struggle with that?
Oh, I had a flat back.
Really?
Just completely flat. Yeah, I had no flexion whatsoever.
Ah.
Just none.
Can you hold like a hollow position?
I can,
Yeah.
but I shake so much.
It's a huge challenge.
It doesn't feel hard, but my body just starts wobbling.
Yeah.
I think it's just my erectors are just so used to being straight or extended that when I start getting them to flex, they spasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's weird, but the coach used to always just say, I've got the stiffest back he's ever seen. Great for weightlifting.
Yeah.
But no good for jiu-jitsu.
Just stay on your back then, you'll be fine.
No, I like to play. I actually like to...
Top game?
I had no game, man. I didn't do it for long enough. I was just that guy who kept hip escaping everything and rolling around like a shrimp on the floor.
Yeah.
We couldn't hold... It was hard to hold me down unless you were like a bit better than me, like quite a bit better than me. If not, I would just find this... Because I'm small too. Yeah. I would just find a smaller space and I don't know what I'm doing, but I know it's not going to hurt the other person, so I just go and do it. Like I'd put my head somewhere and then just try and wiggle into that space or stick my leg there, hip escape into there, and I'd just constantly be this turtle on his back on the floor, just rolling around.
When you did your first competition,
yeah,
did you get the same fulfillment out of that as, let's say, your first weightlifting competition?
That's a good question. The beginning was the same. Nervous. The first fight versus, you know what, let's not call it a fight. Let's call it the first roll. The first roll and my first attempt for the snatch, very nerve-wracking. I still remember. Very nerve-wracking. Didn't really have the mindfulness to take a moment, settle myself and go into it. But afterwards, I think the weightlifting was better because I gathered my senses and it was a repeatable lift. Whereas in the jiu-jitsu, it was not very repeatable at all. You're fighting a different person, different levers, different sort of techniques, and you're also much more tired. So basically what happened for me was I won the first one, completely gassed by the first roll. I had no technique whatsoever. I just muscled this guy. And I think I defended a heel hook. That was about it. And I won by 1 point. And then the second fight, I fought this 16-year-old or 17-year-old kid, and he was just so much better than me. And he had me in a triangle for about 4 minutes of the 5-minute roll. And I just remember standing on top of him, thinking, like my arms across my chin, I'm feeling all this pressure in my head, but I know it's just pressure and it's not cutting off my arteries.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of stacking him, kind of falling back, kind of rolling around. And I really want this guy to let go of my arm, but he's not doing it. In fact, he's cranking it tighter. And my coach is on the side yelling, "Phil, cross choke, cross choke." And by this time, I'd only been training for a month. I looked at him and I said, "What the fuck is a cross choke? I don't know what that is." So I just got choked for about 4 minutes straight.
I remember watching that.
Yeah, I just got choked for 4 minutes straight. It was great. Yeah, and then afterwards I was dead, and then I had no gi as well. So I moved over, waited. I think I had a rest for about an hour. I had a no gi fight. Didn't practice any takedowns. Don't know anything about takedowns, and tried to take this guy down. Got judo hip tossed onto my back. Oh, this is where it gets interesting in terms of my psyche, because he basically tossed me, and he was much better than I was. I think he was training for about a year before this comp, and here I am, 4 weeks in. He caught me in a reverse kesa. Do you know that?
No.
So the reverse kesa is apparently where they triangle your arm, so then you're in like an Americana position, but your arm's in between their legs. And all they've got to do is triangle and lift the hips up, and then your elbow's going to crack. Yeah. So you trap my right elbow. I don't know I'm in a bad position. I just know it hurts. Yeah. So I'm kind of there. And the ultra competitive side of me that I know comes out during all times of competition sees this happening. Yeah. And in that moment, you'd think that you'd be more afraid. But for me in that moment, I was not afraid. I was more irritated that I was going to lose. I was potentially going to lose. So he's tweaking my arm and it hurts. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, can I bear this? That competitive side is going, can you bear this? Can you survive? Can you just keep holding on until he lets go? Fight it, keep fighting it. And so I did. And I felt one pop in my elbow. Yeah. I felt like a click. And then still, my psych goes, nah, you're not doing this. You're not giving up yet. Keep going until you feel that second pop. Keep fighting this. And what do you know? It pops again. It goes pop, pop. And then I had this moment, and it probably was only for about half a second, where I thought to myself, my rational side came in and said, okay, you should probably tap now. And that's when I tapped. But by that time, the damage was done. My elbow was flimsy and painful for the next 8 months.
Fuck. This is definitely not worth it.
No, but there's that side of me that goes a bit crazy when I'm competing. Yeah. And the same thing happened again in my next fight. So the next fight, I'm fighting this guy again who's much bigger than me. And he throws me down, and he ends up getting my arm in that, whatever you call this position, omoplata, I think. I don't know. Anyway, he gets my arm back here and he keeps cranking it upwards.
Yeah.
And so my arms, I'm almost combing my hair with my arm behind my head. And that competitive side comes out again and says, you keep fighting. Don't be a little bitch. Just keep fighting this. Just keep fighting this. And I hear my coach just yelling feedback to me, keep moving back into him, Phil. Just keep moving back into him. So I'm thinking, okay. And my arm's really hurting, but I just kept moving back into him.
Yeah.
And I shit you not, I think he had me in that crank for about 30 seconds. And my arm's killing me, but still I didn't tap and I got out of it. And the guy kind of, I think he had a look of kind of, not defeat. It was more just like, oh my God, like you should have tapped to that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he just kind of got annoyed.
Yeah.
Because I got out of it, and then 2 seconds later, he's got me in an arm triangle, and I'm getting choked, and I'm thinking, oh man, this sucks. And that defiant side in me is saying again, there's a defense for this, you know this, and it's something like this,
Yeah.
right? And I'm just here, but all I can think about is shower. That's all that's coming to my head, just shower, have a shower, and I'm thinking, why am I thinking about having a shower? It's because, shower, you wash your head. But I couldn't put two and two together at that time. So then I start feeling my peripheries go out,
Yeah.
and so I ended up tapping. And then that was it. And then after that, I had a reflection with myself, as you would with for all reflections. And I was just talking to myself saying, that was a good experience. What did you get out of it? What are you going to do now? And the goal was actually to keep doing jiu-jitsu because I did enjoy it. But then the new weight classes came out for weightlifting and the 67s came out. And all throughout my career, I had never had a competition where I had just freedom. I always competed 3 kilos lighter than I really was. So when they came out, I thought, okay, I'm gonna give this a go. And then that was it. I just went back into training for weightlifting instead.
And what happened? Why was that ill-fated?
I think there was a lot of... I was doing it for the wrong reasons. Back the first time I was doing it for more that personal growth. It was a vision of mine. It was kind of a childhood disbelief that I could ever do something like that. So there was that sentimental side, and there was also the prospect of having a career that could bounce off something like this. But the second time around, the purpose for it was probably really driven by just ego more than anything. I wanted to set the national records for the 67s. I wanted to see how good I could be compared to everyone else in the 67s. And that was the primary driver. I didn't really feel that deep inside for myself that there was anything that profound for me to continue this journey. So it was really just external. And so when I was training anyway, but when COVID hit, when COVID really took over our state anyway, I just didn't have any want to do it. All the other boys in the Burwood weightlifting team were finding places to training at their houses, but I had a home gym and I probably trained twice in weightlifting that whole time. There just wasn't anything in it that drove me that powerfully for me at that time.
So would you say that post, Com Games, you've just been like searching for something to replace weightlifting in your life then? Or have these just been like little fun experiments?
I think they've been little fun experiments. Weightlifting was a fun little experiment when it first started as well. But it's funny you ask that question because...
Just because like, in the last 3 years, I've seen you do so many different things. And because they're not sticking, I'm like, is he just looking for something to replace it? Or is this just a part of his like curious nature?
I would say it's more of the second.
Okay.
The curiosity, especially now that I know from a biological level, I'm reaching the peak, if not the slow gradual descent of the age that a male, particularly in terms of power, has. My curiosity seems to be, how much more can I do? How much more can I experience before I experience that drop? Because you can't fight Father Time. And it's now been about all these fun little experiments. I see it as a kind of a soul-searching, personality-searching experience, because I keep finding different parts of my psyche and different parts of myself in each one of these modalities that I'm going to. And it's very fascinating to me because each one seems to express a different part of myself. And I learn different things about myself.
Talk to me about marathons.
Yeah. So
Sorry, not marathons. Marathon.
Marathon. Okay, to be clear, I messed up. A marathon is 42.2 kilometers. I ran 42.05. So I didn't know that a marathon was 42.2. I thought it was 42.
Do you know why a marathon is 42.2 miles?
Well, apparently there's a Greek story about a guy running across 42.2 into marathon, and he died afterwards. I don't know if that's true, but
that's where I was going.
Yeah,
that's what I heard as well.
Yeah, look, great story, whatever. But 42.2 is a marathon. Good for you.
So you haven't actually?
No, I ran 42.05 kilometers. Which I'll happily take.
Yeah.
You know, if I had known that 150 meters more wouldn't have been a big deal.
Yeah, you say that now, but that last 150 I've heard is the hardest.
Well, let me go through the actual marathon journey. I don't think I told you this.
No.
Basically, when COVID happened, my housemate had just finished a 100k ultra marathon.
Yeah.
And he challenged me essentially, saying, "Hey, why don't you just try it?" And at the time, I was all gung ho, saying, "Yeah, I'll do the 100." And then he kind of pulled me back and said, "No, how about you try the 42 first before you go for 100?"
So it's his fault that you ran 42, not 42.2.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, it started off as a joke because my other friend Daniel, he'd also done 100 Ks, but on the road. So there's that quote from sociologists saying something like, "You are the average of your 5 friends," and I believe that applies to physical fitness as well.
Yeah.
And me, at that point, my best distance was maybe 1.6 kilometers at high school.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 of my close friends who've both done at least 100 Ks. How can I drag the social average down? It's unacceptable. So I thought, okay, I don't really like running for now, but you can't always do the things that you like. You could, but it's probably not good for you in your development as a human being or as a coach, whatever you want to say. So I just said, fuck it, okay, let's aim for a marathon in 6 months, something like that. And pretty much that day I went for my first run. I think I ran maybe 2 kilometers. It was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. Because at that point I had just stopped weightlifting. And I had still all this muscle. Was maybe walking around at 65 or 66 kilos. Just no aerobic adaptation whatsoever. And by the end of the 2 kilometers, I was huffing, puffing, legs were burning, foot was hurting, calf was going crazy. And then each week we would just progress total volume wise by 3, 4, 5 kilometers, depending on my load. And before I knew it, I'd run my first 5 kilometers. And I will never forget this 5 kilometer because it was the hardest run physically I have ever experienced in my life. Worse than when I ran 42. 42 was hard in a different way, but my legs were burning. I couldn't breathe, but I was still pushing a certain pace, which was 530 per K. And I could taste metal in my mouth. That's how badly I was pushing myself.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I checked my heart rate. I was in zone 5 for basically the entire duration of that run. If you guys don't know what zone 5 is, so heart rate wise, we split into 5 zones, zone 1 to zone 5, and zone 5 is max out. You max out your heart rate, and I did that for 35 minutes straight. And I have not reached that point ever since. Even though I've run way quicker, I have never reached a zone 5 run ever since. But the whole journey was full of, I guess you could say, setbacks. But because I'm a really stubborn person, I always just find stupid ways to get over it. So the first thing was my nose clogged up after every run. I would have this almost inflammatory reaction, and my sinuses would just block.
Really?
Yep. And I would,
which is funny because a lot of people find the opposite, right?
it clears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my one would clear during the run, but it would block again after the run. Yeah. I would be breathing fine in the run. I'd come back, I'd cool down, and I'd start sneezing without fail for about 2 months straight, just sneezing every time, and I would not be able to breathe through my nose the remainder of that day.
Wow.
Yep.
How did you get past that?
I didn't. I just kept doing it.
Oh.
And it just slowly went away by itself. Because the way I saw it, I thought, okay.
What do you think was happening?
I think I just had dry, really dry nasal cavities. And then as I was running, it just dried up too much.
Yeah.
And then
you had an inflammatory response because of it?
Potentially. I never got it checked.
Because I even wonder whether it's just like, because you've got this vasodilating effect of when you're taking in a lot of oxygen, right? So maybe, you'd have everything open up, and then you were breathing in things that were causing an allergic reaction.
Maybe. I mean, the area I live in does have lots of factories, so that could be one of the reasons why as well. But I don't know. It's never happened to me. When I played OzTag back in Fairfield, that factories everywhere, and I never had this sort of reaction. But I just did.
Cool. What was the other setback?
So I had that. That didn't stop me. I had a recurring right knee pain that would just come and go.
Did you have, was it right knee tendinopathy when you were weightlifting as well?
Left.
Oh, that was
I had left knee tendinopathy when I was weightlifting. Towards the back end of Com Games, I had patellofemoral pain in both knees.
Yeah.
But it was different. That was all closed chain stuff. This hurt in open chain.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and it got to the point where I would finish a run, and I would feel it halfway through the run, and it gradually set on. And then
Can you explain for the guys at home closed chain versus open chain?
Closed chain is when your joint's fixed on something as it's moving, and then open chain is when it's in the air.
So an example of an exercise would be like...
So a squat.
Yeah, a squat is closed chain.
Yeah.
Hamstring curl, open chain.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I would run, and I'd feel it coming on, and it'd stop me in my run. But the thing is, again, because I'm stubborn, that voice inside me that goes, no, just keep going. I would run on a dead knee for about an extra 5 kilometers before it just got so bad that every time I even bent my knee, I felt excruciating sharp pain in that cavity. And then I'd stop.
So what you're telling me is that you're an idiot.
I thought we established that a very long time ago. A very, very long time ago.
Physios are the worst.
Yeah, but look, I mean, we've got to explore this a bit more because you'll find this very interesting. I'd finish that run, and then I would be limping around for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And I'm not faking it because I consider my threshold for pain to be quite high. I was just limping around. I couldn't walk down the stairs properly, couldn't walk up the stairs properly, and yet I'd find ways to squat or do some sort of accessory exercise when really I should probably just chill out and let my knee rest. But if it was time to run, I could be in pain that morning, and 2 hours later, I would still go and run, even though I was in pain in the beginning of the run. And this is where my understanding of pain gets muddled. Because I have had runs where I have had this response. that takes roughly 2 to 3 days to go away. And I would run on one day. I'd get that response. I would go home. I'd go, shit, here we go again. Wait 3 days, I'll be sweet. Go run again. But then because my volume was getting so high, I couldn't afford to miss any runs. And these are not short runs either. I'm running 10, 15, 17 kilometers as a training run. So I would run one day at 17 kilometers. By the end of it, my knee's really getting there. It's the same symptoms. And the next day I'd have a 12-kilometer run. But then I think I'd get stubborn and I'd kind of tell myself pains in the brain, when clearly there was probably something there. And I'd go and run. And there was one day where I was in so much pain in my knee, but I decided to start running anyway.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself, just 1K. Just run 1K, tell me how it feels, and then keep going. So I ran my first K, and it was hurting. I kept going. Didn't hurt after 1K. And I thought, shit, okay, that's pretty good. I'll go another K. So I did go another K, and it felt even better. So I ended up running 12 kilometers that day, despite the first kilometer being in, I would say, 5 to 6 out of 10 pain. I should have stopped. But the crazy thing was, I finished the run, and the next day I had no knee pain. So that's what I've kind of got from this. I don't know whether I can trust my pain signals, because clearly I could touch the spot, it was tender, I could reproduce all the pain symptoms, there was clearly a loading response, there was so much going on, and there was a pattern, and yet I could run through 12 kilometers on it. So, was it really just in my brain? I think to myself, how did I manage 12 kilometers on that? But I did. And so, what's going on?
So we know that, let's say in a tendinopathy or something, that when we train or try to affect that tendinopathy, we're not physically changing the degeneration, right? What we're doing is changing the sensitivity of that. And yes, you can actually get back to producing more force and more power than before, but without the symptoms, right? So, and that comes in two approaches. It's like load management, as well as loading that tendon in a way that is going to produce the adaptation that we want.
Mm-hmm. But so
day
though.
No, I know
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. But I'm saying the pain signaling, that could be just changing, the feedback loop, right? Between the tendon and the brain, or if it is a tendon thing.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of things, I would still argue with you that you would have been better off affecting your load management.
As in, I was doing too much?
Yeah, maybe too much too soon, or
Yeah.
maybe you had to split up that volume a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard when you have a time, hey, I've got to do this in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I know. How long did you have to run the marathon?
Oh, it took 6 months of build up.
Okay. So you had 6 months.
Yeah, if you look at the volume, I've got it all on my Garmin app. The volume progression was very sensible.
Yeah.
I think there was always a 3-week build up of a roughly 10% increase of each week, and then back off, deload by 20%, and back on, back off, back on, back off. So
the only reason I'm bringing it up is because obviously when people listen to this, they're going to be like, oh, Phil did it. I can do it.
Yeah, because actually don't copy me.
It's like the same thing as when you listen to a David Goggins or something, and these guys are. It's cool what they've achieved, but there's a more sensible way to do it.
Yes, and especially if you compare it to David Goggins.
Yeah. So I never want to leave people idolizing stupidity.
Yes.
He's really cool. He's achieved a lot. That's awesome. And he's a role model to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But, you can almost mistake him for Forrest Gump.
Yes.
In his way of
Forrest Gump was very stupid though.
Getting through life, he's just stubborn.
Yes.
And that's kind of what you're preaching as well.
No. I'm just saying. I'm not definitely not preaching this. Don't get me wrong. This is only something that I do to myself. I don't actually tell any of the people I coach to push through something like this.
But then, yeah, so it's more of a like, hey, do as I say, not as I do, right?
Oh, yeah, no. Look, I think there's a time and place for that to come out. And if you've got a lot of skin in the game that you're playing, you have to go kind of fuck it. Just go all in, and whatever ramifications you get, you kind of get. And I'll move it forward into the actual marathon day, okay? So this is where, again, don't copy. I love that. That's so good. We just had, I think, 4 teenagers ride past the street.
Listening to music. I can't believe that this picks everything up like that.
It's so good. This is such a good setup. So the funny thing is I also dragged a mate into it with me. Yeah. So he was doing just as stupid shit as I was. Anyway, besides the point. I planned to run this marathon at I think it was a Blackmores marathon. Yeah. I planned that, but COVID happened, so they cancelled the promotion.
Which is why you ended up only doing 42.5, not 42.05.
Yeah.
Okay, because it wasn't a proper run.
No, it wasn't a proper run.
Yeah.
There would be about 4 of us running that day, and one person, 2 people weren't running the marathon, and 3 of us were. So the route was, for those of you guys in Sydney, the route was from Parramatta Park to the Bay Run in 5 Dock, Balmain area, back towards Parramatta Park. 42 kilometers-ish. So we start running, and I'm prepped. I feel like I'm
you've
deloaded.
Trained for this.
I've trained for this. I'd run 30 kilometers.
Can you tell me what your deload was like? It's like leading up to like your peaking strategy.
Yeah.
When you were, getting into it, what was your biggest run?
My biggest run before my 42 kilometer was a 30k run.
Okay, so a decent chunk of it.
Yeah. I ran 30 k's, the fast in like not in a breeze, but it wasn't hard. And
that was your final run before deload, or?
That was my final run before deload.
And then what did your deload look like?
The volume would, so that the week of, I believe the week of the 30k, my volume was about 52 kilometers a week, something like that. And then the week after it was about 40 something, mid 40s. And then after that it was low 40s. And then the week of the marathon, it was basically nothing. And then just the marathon. Okay. I think I did some higher intensity work to keep the legs moving, like 3 kilometers, and then just the 42.
Oh, okay. So in the weeks leading, so the final week before comp, nothing, but the preceding week, you did a 30 and a 10, essentially?
No, it was more like in total volume.
Yeah.
Memory's not that great, but I would say I did maybe in the week of the 30 kilometer one way, that week I did 50 something Ks.
Yeah, okay.
So I did 2 10K runs in the beginning of the week, and then I did a 30K run at the end of the week. And then the next week I did, total volume wise, I reckon it was like 15 to 20% less compared to the week before. And then the week after that, again, 15-20% less. And then I had the marathon.
Okay.
So it was a 2-week deload.
Who was programming for you?
It was my housemate, Coach.ic. So Isaac. His name's Isaac.
Yep. Oh, so he's one of the M3 guys as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And so that was the deload. Anyway, we start the race. Not race, just the run.
It's a race. With you, everything's a race. Were you going to win when you started?
Sorry?
Were you going to win when you started?
No. We ran it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wanted to win, right?
I wanted to get a certain time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get under 3 hours and 30 minutes.
And what did you run 30 in?
I ran 30 in I think it was a little bit over 2 hours and 30.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my best long distance run ever, the 30k. It was in the rain, it was kind of chillier, it was just heaven.
And what's a good marathon time?
Under 4.
What's a great marathon time?
I think under 3. So if you want to qualify for the Boston Marathon, it's an under 3 hour marathon.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So a good time is under 4 hours.
Yeah.
And like the guys who train hard for it and make it part of their living is under 3.
And you want it under 3?
I want it under 4.
Oh, you want it under 4?
I want it under 3. I wanted to get just under 3:30.
Yeah.
And the pace, I think the pace I was trying to hold was about a 5:30 pace, which isn't, for me at that time, was not a big deal.
Yeah.
I could just pop on the street and I'd run 5:30. And look, 5:30, I think comparatively is actually still a very good speed for someone who's only been running long distance for less than 6 months at that point. But it came very naturally to me. And I think there's a lot of the mental side that came from competing for so long that can push through hard training blocks. But the other thing is, and I don't know if there's any research for this, but I reckon there were adaptations with my heart from all the heavy lifting that translated over to greater cardiac output very quickly.
So like you had like this potentiation effect.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I do have hypertrophy within my ventricles that was from resistance training, and because it just the adaptation I got was very quick, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And also a base level of strength is very, very handy. So we start running, and I'm going great. Everyone's going great. We're having a great time, and we get to about 17 kilometers.
So you guys are all separate, or are you guys doing this together?
Together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And are you guys in a pack running,
In a
or
pack.
have you guys separated?
We're in a pack.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and pack running is something else. Running with your mates next to you,
Yeah.
even though you're not really talking, it just feels great.
Yeah.
So we start.
So, are you guys having earphones in and stuff, or no?
Some of them are.
Yeah.
I'm not.
All right.
I'm not. I like listening to the sound of my own breathing.
Yep.
And I talk to myself.
Okay.
So we get to about 17 kilometers, and I'm ahead, and I think I was holding a 5:15, which is probably a bit too quick at that stage, but I'm stubborn. And so I'm going, and then I ended up running up the hill, which was the wrong direction. Yeah. And then all the boys start yelling at me, "Hey, come back, you went the wrong direction, go this way." So I got overexcited, and I started running down this hill. And the way you run a hill, in order to maintain your time, is you take really quick steps.
Yeah.
So I did. But what I forgot is that when I run down a hill quickly, my right knee flares up almost instantaneously. Yeah. So I went pop, 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 click. And then my entire demeanor just changed. I went, oh, fuck. No, not this shit again. And we start running. I can start feeling something coming on, but I keep running anyway because I'm just hoping that it's going to go away. But by the time we're another 4 or 5 kilometers in, I can really feel that I can't really bend my knee anymore. And I think at this stage, we're about 20 kilometers in, and I'm struggling to hold an even a 5:45. And I'm slowing down to a 6, and these other boys are holding a 5:30. So I just tell them, you guys go ahead. Don't worry about me. You guys go ahead. I'll catch up. Fully knowing that I'm not going to catch up. So they all make it to Parramatta Road, and then they keep running. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, I know how this ends. I'm not gonna be able to keep running on this shitty knee. Do I give up now, call it a day, recuperate and come again? Or there's 21 kilometers left. Do I push through, test myself, see where this pain threshold can be pushed to, and just fight through? And of course I chose to fight through because I'm an idiot.
But also this is competition day.
And this is competition day with myself.
But like I do draw the line. Like I can come off a little bit harsh on like the Goggins of the world and stuff.
Yeah.
But they have achieved great things.
Yeah.
And I'll never achieve half of the stuff that they have.
Yeah.
And that takes a certain level of like drive and craziness and maybe even stupidity and recklessness. Yeah.
I would say it's reckless. It's not sensible.
Yeah. So yeah, like, but at the same time, like competition day, like you do what you have to do to win.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was just about completion.
Yeah. Well, that is winning for you then, right?
Yeah. That's what I get out of it, because I've now any journey I take now, I go into it fully knowing that there's going to be tumultuous times. I know the gems are in the tumultuous times. It's not when it's all going good. When it's going good, you don't really learn anything. And I genuinely mean that. I know there's a lot of people who say it just because it's like that thing to say. But until you've lived it, you don't really appreciate that statement. Because it feels shit when you're learning it. It feels terrible. Like your knee freaking hurts. Anyway, my one did. So I keep running, and I ended up running another 10 kilometers. I got from Parramatta Road, starting at Strathfield. I ran all the way to the bay, more like hobble. I hobbled all the way to the bay, and I did one lap of the bay. And my watch was at, I think, 29 or 30 kilometers. I think.
Yeah.
And I get this phone call from my friend Simon, who I've roped into this journey. He calls me and he says, "Hey, where are you?" I go, "I'm at 30 Ks doing the bay." I'm like, "Where are you?" He goes, "I'm ahead of you, but my leg's fucked." So he fucked his leg too. So what happened with him was he went down a hill and he landed too strong, and he jarred his knee.
Yeah.
So because he jarred his knee, he started running off on the other knee,
Yeah.
and he started cramping in the other one. So
So he's having quad cramp.
he was having a quad cramp, really bad quad cramp, and he just couldn't run no more. So he kind of told me, "Look, bro, I'm done. I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home, grab my car, and then I'll come pick you up." No. He said, "I'm going to go home, grab my car, and let me know what you want to do. Let's go get some food."
Yeah.
And I just kind of, in that moment, I thought, 30 kilometers, I've got 12 kilometers left. I'm basically walking now.
Yeah.
Do I just keep going? Or do I
Wait, sorry,
call
what
it?
was the time?
I think the time was 12.
Okay.
12 o'clock. Yeah.
And so, sorry, how many hours in were you?
3 something.
Okay.
3 something, but I was walking at this
But
stage.
you only had 12 left. You could still finish under 4.
No chance.
Oh,
no
okay.
chance. I was walking at like a 10-minute pace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would have taken me another 2 hours to
Yeah.
finish. So, even then, when he calls me and says that, I should have been saying, "You know what? Come get me in the Uber. Let's go back together."
Yeah.
But instead, what I said was, "Let me call you back in 30. Let me see how much more I can punch out." So here I am, hobbling, keep going, and by the time I get to 30, I think 30 or 31 kilometers, I guess that competitive, reckless guy was even saying to me, "Do you really want to do it like this? Like, do you really want to finish this marathon, having known you've walked basically the last 12? Is that really worth it? Like, what's the point?" And then I decided to stop because I was like, "This is not good enough.
Yeah.
This is bullshit." So I stopped. And then Simon came, picked me up, and we went to have dinner, and we were just two depressed people because we trained for 6 months for this. And we're just thinking, shit, man, I can't believe we fucked that up. And immediately my mind went from how did this happen to, okay, when am I going to do this again next? So I had spoke with my coach, and he said, "Look, your adaptations aren't going to last that long. You've peaked already. The best thing to do is to go again in a week after you've just healed up."
Yeah.
And my knee was caning me at this point so bad. And I know it takes 3 days to heal. And my only free day before my next on that week was a Saturday. So I ran on Sunday. I fucked up on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I did nothing. By Thursday, I was walking around fine. I hadn't run yet.
Yeah.
And I thought, fuck it. I'm doing it again on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I call Simon. I go, "Simon, I'm going to do it again on Saturday. Are you in or are you out?" And he goes, "You're a fucking nutcase. You literally just tried to run a marathon. You fucked up. Why don't you wait a bit longer, get your body back, and then try again in a month or so?" And that stubborn side of me just went, "Nah, I'll be right. Fuck it, I'll find out. Find out on the day." So then on Saturday, I'm doing this alone now. Everyone's done. My mate's not with me. I've got my pack. I've got 6 or 7 gels. I've got some water, and I started getting into
So you had the gels and stuff the first time as well, though?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I did.
So you were prepped the first time?
I was prepped the first time. I was far more prepped the first time than the second time
Yeah.
around. There's a funny story to go with the prep side as well, because as a side tangent, for the first 3 months of my running, every time I'd go for a run, I would not bring any water with me. Not because I didn't like water, just because it never occurred to me that I should drink water when I'm running.
Yeah.
So I remember running 21 kilometers and I started getting stomach aches. And I thought to myself, oh, I've never had this before. What's this other injury, weird thing that I'm getting? So I spoke to the dietitian and I said, what do you reckon? Why do I keep running, finish my run, have a weird stomach ache, go home, and then I have the runs for a day and I can't eat properly, everything's unsettled, what's happening? And she says to me, how much water do you drink during your run? And I said, none. She goes, you know you're supposed to drink a few hundred mils every 30 minutes. Because what you're telling me right now just sounds like you're dehydrated.
So if you're dehydrated through training, you'll have like exercise-induced diarrhea?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the common symptoms. He realizes that he's dehydrated as well.
Because I know on like comp days, like after a big competition day, like 5 events, I'll go home and like the next day I'm like, my tummy's like all over the place.
Oh yeah, because you lose your electrolytes, man, and then your gut can't hold the fluid anymore, and then it just goes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, yeah. So when I found out, she just had this look on her face.
Yeah.
Like, are you actually stupid? What made you? And this was not winter. This was summer.
Yeah.
Are you stupid enough to think that you could get through 2 hours of running without one drop of water? Like, are you that thick? And my reaction was, yeah. Because before the 21 kilometers, I had run every single run without water. And I was fine. And I didn't think it was a big deal. So then I started drinking water and taking care of my electrolytes before the run.
Yeah.
And voila,
everything
was okay.
Well, that's like, this is not similar at all, but with when I'm doing like the Strongman training.
Yeah.
And even like, so it really became an issue my last weightlifting comp where I bombed out.
Yep.
Because I must have like I think I was a bit heavy like leading into the comp. So I cut weight, and I was also in the middle of a diet where I was trying to like look after my gut a bit better. So I had taken out a lot of breads, pastas, basically a lot of carbohydrates. And then in my cut, I would have taken out a lot of the sugars as well. And then came into the comp, and I was actually passing out on my clean and jerks.
Yes.
And I actually had a seizure.
Oh my God, you did?
So I had on my in the warm up room, I hit a 125 clean and jerk, dropped the bar, felt a little dizzy, took a knee, and then like started having a seizure. I was awake, but I couldn't stop myself from shaking.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was really weird. And it's the first time, and I got my heart checked. I had a MRI, a CAT scan of my brain, everything and everything was good. But I've noticed that, if I'm doing like log cleans or anything that's a lot of pressure, I can get a bit dizzy. And the simple solve for that Ash, one of our coaches, has sort of like banned me from training without it now. It's just Gatorade. Like, get some sugar in right before training. You don't pass out anymore.
Yeah. It's such a... It sounds like such a simple fix when it comes out, but at the time before you knew this, you're like, oh my God, what the hell's going? Oh my God, what the hell's going on?
It's like, will I never lift again?
You're like, is this that dangerous? Like, imagine you went to all these brain surgeon specialists and they were just trying to find out what's wrong with you, and it just got fixed with Gatorade.
But that's what happened.
Oh. So you went through all.
I had to go to cardiologist.
Oh my gosh!
Like, they had me on the, like all the heart tests. And,
and they couldn't give you the Gatorade answer.
No, they were like, we don't know what's going on. We got to check everything anyway.
Yeah.
To make sure, we had to rule out everything.
Yeah.
And then we've just kind of been like, oh yeah, Gatorade fixes this. I mean, sugar fixes it essentially, but
Yeah.
like, why not get some electrolytes
Man,
and stuff
that's
in as
that's
well?
an expensive Gatorade, man. That's a very expensive Gatorade, man. I'm glad you found out though. I'm
But
glad. I'm glad
it's
you're
a
okay.
similar process, right?
Oh yeah, I learned the hard way. Man, and this is the part of me that I really wish I could slap out, but I just have it and I can't. And I got to really learn how to channel it. But there'll be times throughout the run when I might even feel a bit thirsty, and I think to myself, "You ain't no bitch. You don't need no water," and I just keep running, and I cause these issues for myself. But at the same time, I have that side of me that because I have it, it pushes me to these beyond these limits that maybe a more sensible person would be more than happy to stay within. So the second time around comes, and look, I didn't bring any Gatorade with me because I had my gels, and my gels have electrolytes in them.
Yeah.
And I had like 7 of them or 8 of them. So there's more than enough. And I knew that downhill was my enemy. So I chose a track that was mainly flat. So you know the Bay Run?
Yeah.
I did that 6 times. It gets old after the second time, but I did it 6 times. And there's bubblers along the track, so I didn't have to carry a 2 kilo pack with me. So I start running. Oh, and the other thing I had was I knew that no matter what, this was it. I'd finish this no matter what.
Okay, yeah. So you
s-
made that deal with yourself.
I made that deal with, I would finish this no matter what. I don't care if my knee comes out again, I'm going to finish this run. I went to the pharmacy and I bought the strongest Thenko rub that I could find.
Yeah.
And if my knee was going to play up, I would stop in that run, I would Thenko rub and I would keep running. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't advise this, by the way. Again, don't copy me. This is just the mode I get into when I want to do something. So I start running and
And also, like, as much as I hate it,
yeah.
a lot of successful people have this recklessness.
I suppose. I suppose. Look, it's
Like, you're the one that's competed at the Commonwealth Games. So,
well,
yeah.
and that was reckless too. I lost 6
Yeah.
kilos in 6 weeks. I was in a sauna for almost 3 hours. So yeah, I've probably shortened my lifespan quite a lot with what I've done with my 28 years of life.
It was worth it.
But at this stage, I think it's worth it.
You've got the rub down.
Yeah. So I start running.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm taking my first gel at 5K. So it was supposed to be every 5Ks I take a gel. I take my first gel at 5Ks. Instant stomach pain. And I'm thinking, am I fucking dehydrated again? No way, because I'm too smart for this now. I did my electrolyte drink before.
Yeah.
These gels have electrolytes. I'm hydrated. I got water in me. There's no fucking way.
Caffeine.
No, I'll tell you more in a sec. But I mean, I made a deal with myself. I ain't fucking stopping.
Yeah.
So I keep running. Goes away at about 7-8K, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm running. I'm holding a 5:30 pace. At 10K, I pop another gel. Stomach pain comes back, and I'm thinking, oh fuck, I must be having an adverse reaction to these gels. Fuck. I've got the same gel. I've got like 6 of them.
Yeah.
So every 5Ks, I'm just gonna deal with this pain in my gut for 2Ks. So I keep running. 15Ks, pop a gel, starts hurting again. Fuck. I'm just thinking, this is the shittest run ever, but fuck, I'm gonna keep going. So I keep going. I get to 20.
And are you, like, what is the pace? Like, are you on pace for under 4?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
I am.
So you're still doing well.
I'm still doing well, but
Okay.
I'm in pain the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get to 20Ks and pop a gel. And then something just clicks in my head. I'm popping these gels dry.
Oh, you're not having any water.
I'm not having any water with it because I didn't bring water with me. I was popping them just as I went. I should have been popping them at a bubbler and having a sip of water with it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So I start running to this bubbler and I'm thinking, hold on a minute. You idiot. You're supposed to eat this with water. So I go to the bubbler. I fill my mouth up with water. I pop the gel in. I swallow. I take some more water. I keep running. What happens? Fucking nothing. And I'm like, I solved it. Great. So I'm now at 21K. I'm halfway through.
So it took you half the run to figure that out.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, I'm stupid. So we keep running. I keep running and it's 21Ks and then my knee plays up. and I can feel it coming on, and I went, okay, fuck this. I quickly stop, I get my denker up, and I just squeezed so much onto my hand, and I just fucking lathered it.
Yeah.
And I went, please, biomedical sciences, please get me through. So I rub in.
And you hadn't strapped your knee or anything?
No, hadn't strapped my knee, nothing. Puts it on, keep running, nothing. And I'm good. I got no pain in my knee anymore. So I keep running, and I'm looking good now. I'm at 25, 26 Ks. Gels are fine. Everything's good. I think my pace has slowed down to maybe a 6 now, and that's mainly because of a combination of fatigue, and I think also just the knee in my mind. So by the time I get to 27, this was kind of where I stopped last time. By the time I get to 27, my gel had run out its effect. So I put some more on, and it doesn't work. It just bought me 6 Ks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 15 Ks away. My time was good at that stage, but I thought, fuck, I have to keep going. I don't care. So I start running weird. My normal style was hurting my knee, so I started leaning over to one side, and I'm running like that. So there's all these people at the bay watching this guy run so weird, so strange, up and down this bay, the bay run. And because I'm running like that, I'm starting to feel places that don't usually work start to work. So my left quad starts cramping, and I can't bend my knee. So I probably should have stopped, but I didn't. I just kept running. So I've got a cramped left quad. My right knee can't really bend properly. So I just turn my feet out and I start running like a duck. And I just kind of hobble because I just didn't want to stop.
Yeah.
So I did that for about a kilometer or maybe 2 kilometers. And it was like a 7-minute kilometer. And by this time it's 29 Ks. Pop my gel. I hope it's going to give me some sort of life. It doesn't. I keep going, and every 500 meters, I'm finding new ways to run. So I'm running with my toes pointed out. I cramp in my quad. I run with my toes slightly pointed in. I start getting hip pain. I start taking really short steps but really fast steps, and it buys me maybe another 500 before something starts to hurt again. And I had completely under budgeted how many electrolytes I'd need. So then, and I'm also running really weird. So then my adductors start cramping. And I've never felt an adductor cramp in my life, ever. But here I am running, and I've got an adductor cramp. I've got a hamstring cramp now. Everything's just seizing. And I'm probably just in this place of severe pain. Everything in my body hurts except for my upper body. But everything hurts. My brain hurts. My head hurts. My legs hurt. I've got 3 gels left. I've got 10 kilometers still to go. And
also, all of this happened in 5 kilometers.
Yeah,
basically.
man. Yeah. And then so I started walking. I stopped to a walk, and I said to myself, okay, you need to slow down. You're still going to finish, don't get me wrong. You're going to slow down, and you're going to run every 200 meters. So I'd walk 200, and then I'd kind of run a bit for 200, and every time something would hurt, but I just kind of push through, and then 200, 200, 200, and I get to about 34. And then by the time I get to 34, it was almost like I just was numb to what I was feeling. So then I started running in this modified sort of hunch forward duck sort of short sprint position.
Yeah.
And that was surprisingly okay. Nothing seized. So I held that for maybe a 7-minute kilometer, and I did that for 2 kilometers.
Yeah.
And by this time it's 37. So I'm like seeing the finish line, but everything's still dying. I can barely bend both knees now. My quads, I have never felt so pumped in my entire life, ever. My calves are cramping, my foot's dead. And I just entered this trance of, you're so close, just keep going, don't back out now. And I just made it work. And then by the end of it, I got to 41, and I just knew that I would make it. So I finished my last kilometer, and when I finished, surprisingly, half the stuff I was feeling was gone. despite me not having any more electrolytes, no more gels. I mean, I had water, but that was about it. Half the stuff I did was gone. I had pain-wise was gone. And then that was it. I saw 42, click over on my watch. I stopped it. And it wasn't even like I felt a sense of massive achievement or gratification. It was just, oh, okay.
What was the time?
I think it was 5 something, 5:30.
That's what you finished in it?
That's what I finished it in. Yeah, it was, if I look at the time, I'm embarrassed by it because I think I could have done at least in the 4s. But at the same time, in terms of character, understanding my own perseverance and character building and all that stuff, I had a very rough marathon and I still managed to get through it. So that's a positive, I suppose. And yeah, that's basically how it played out, the marathon.
Have you watched Brittany runs a marathon?
Yeah, we spoke about this.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
What did you think about the movie?
I thought the movie was okay. I think the movie overall was quite good because I think you're supposed to hate the main character, and I did hate her. I thought she was very annoying.
Deplorable.
Yeah, I thought she was just very, very irritating.
Yeah.
As a health professional, I watched that movie and I thought it was a very accurate representation of a typical client. I thought they did a great job there. And my favorite scene is the scene where the doctor tells her straight up, dude, you need to lose weight. I think that's a great scene. I think that there should be more professionals who are able to cop the emotional, potentially burden of saying something like that to someone who needs to hear it.
Yep.
But her story of triumphing through her struggles and pain, besides the loading that we both agree was very bad, is a very good metaphor for what health is like and what most people will go through. Yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, exact same thing. Like, we talked about it, and I thought, like, she's a very unlikable protagonist.
Yeah.
Potentially also because we see a lot of ourselves in her, and that's the part that we don't like. For all of her faults, she seems to exemplify outwardly. Whereas maybe we internalize some of the things that she externalizes.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought about her. I thought the movie was interesting. It's a novel thing to follow someone who is not built for a sport to do a sport. If that makes sense. Like you've obviously watched, like Free Solo or whatever. You haven't watched Free Solo? Oh, you gotta watch Free Solo, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a free climbing doco.
Or
like, let's say you watch something where, it's a sports person, but you've watched Michael Jordan's documentary?
Last Dance.
Last Dance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a Chicago Bulls documentary. Turned up to being like an epic Michael Jordan story.
Yeah. Well, so like you watch that and you're like, okay, he's not that likable as a person.
Nope.
But, he's still great looking. He's, talented, charismatic.
Yeah.
So he fulfills the role of what we want our idols to be.
Yeah.
She does not.
Well, yeah, she's very much the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she still achieves the same things that, we want. We want someone that we'd like to do it. So it's like she's going against not only the expectation that life puts on her, but also the expectation we as the audience puts on her. Like, we want her to fail as well, right?
Yeah.
So, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's how we feel about this character is a reflection of ourselves. Yeah, and I would say that there are parts of that character that I, right now, still constantly need to shut down. Constantly. It's I think you and I would agree on this, but there's parts of you that never die, and it's just how much you feed to each wolf. And that initial Britney side, everyone has that. I know I have that for sure, and I'm constantly keeping it in check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. So you finished this marathon. What's next?
Yeah. So then, okay, right. So I finished this marathon, and I just start running for pure enjoyment now, and recommend it. And I know a lot of you guys are strength people that listen. If you guys ever get a chance, besides the idea that it's fun to make fun of runners, running itself actually is a very blissful movement. I wouldn't even call it a sport. It's just something we're meant to do. And initially I had the same thoughts of, what do I need running for? You know, I could do my cardio other ways, HIIT training, whatever. But it's only when you start to get into the maybe 10Ks onwards, when you hit your stride and you get that point where you're not even breathing hard, even though you're hitting a certain time, and your legs don't feel anything, and you actually feel like you're just flying, and that feeling is incomparable. I can't get that feeling from anything else except running. So I highly, highly recommend that if you've got the chance, go run.
Have you tried ecstasy?
No comment.
But what you're talking about, what you are talking about is a runner's high, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do talk about that.
Yeah.
The feeling of weightlessness, that nothing else matters, that, you know, you're so in tune with your body as well as, you know, just the task at hand, that it's just happening without you even trying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think the runner's high has been explained to have like all these biochemical reactions, dopamine, all that stuff. But there's something uniquely satisfying about it. I can get a dopamine hit from HIIT class. I can do that. I can get a dopamine hit from hitting a nice weight in weightlifting, but I don't get the same effect as what a runner does.
Yeah.
And I think there's something primal there, which is a good segue into the next part. There's something very primal about running. It's kind of like when we throw something, or like you're playing a sport that has a target and you hit the target. You could be anyone with no training, but the moment you hit something with a target, with an aim, you seem to feel good about yourself. And maybe that's because of our hunter-gatherer days when we were so focused on just shooting something or throwing something at something to kill it and eat it. Maybe, I don't know. But it's very primal. It feels very, very natural. And I think most people, almost everyone, has the ability to run. So,
would you say that we are born to run? Have you read Born to Run?
No, I haven't read. Is that the one by Nike?
No.
No, okay, no, I haven't seen Born to Run. I've read the one called Shoe Dog by the Nike's founder. But, I mean, if you look at the the growth chart of children, you could probably argue that it seems likely that most kids will grow up and start to run from an early age. Could that be the environment? Maybe. But maybe they're both linked. I think the environment, no matter which environment you put a kid in, at some stage, they're going to learn how to walk, and then eventually they're going to learn how to run. So, yeah, potentially. I like to think so. Based off how it feels, I think so.
It just feels natural.
It just feels natural. It feels much more natural than a snatch, for example.
What?
Or a clean and jerk.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I just kind of kept running for the joy of it, and I still really like the joy of low intensity, long distance running. So I don't quite remember exactly what it was that I did. Oh no, yeah, I remember now. So halfway through my marathon journey, my housemate and I decided to pick up a bit of Muay Thai.
Simon?
No, Isaac.
Oh, okay, the guy who does 100-kilometer runs.
He did one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We just started doing Muay Thai because we were bored.
Yeah.
Because it's isolation, right? And we started meeting these people who were his friends who would come down and they do Muay Thai with us.
Yeah.
And it kind of brought me back to my 19-year-old day, my days where I would spend 2 hours every night at the gym just kicking pads and punching stuff. And it just reignited something within me. So while I was doing this marathon, I would do some background kickboxing and Muay Thai. And one thing led to another, and I got hooked up with my current kickboxing coach. His name is Mark. And he wanted to get some SNC and weightlifting in for his own programming. And I wanted to learn a bit more about Muay Thai. So we just linked up and we just decided to go tit for tat. We'll just, I'll train you, you train me. And it started off as just another skill. I just wanted to learn how to kick properly, punch properly. I wanted to eventually spar just for fun, see how I go. And then the more we did it, I go back to that word, it just feels very primal to fight. And there was a part of my psyche I really wanted to explore with combat. And I couldn't really explore it too much with jiu-jitsu because at the end of the day, as violent as jiu-jitsu can be, it's very different from getting hit in the face. Getting hit in the face is a shocking feeling. It wakes you up like that. Anyway, so as I'm finishing my marathon journey, I had this moment in my mind where I thought, I feel like right now, life for me is a game of curiosity. I'm constantly just finding things to do to look inward. Who am I when I do this? Who am I when I do that? What am I when I do this? What am I when I do that? So who was I when I was doing the marathon? What did I learn? What did I experience? And my answers were, I can push through seemingly copious amounts of pain. I can stick to something. I can learn to love something. I didn't like it before. When I started, for the first 2 months was terrible. But I learned to love it. And the more I did it, the more love I had for it. And I learned that I can, through the endurance running, I really learned how to calm down and have an appreciation for time. And that's never left. And I got something else from weightlifting. But then with kickboxing, what I really wanted to discover is that part within me that when faced with fight or flight, I think most people can admit that we've had flight more than once in our lives.
Yeah, I'm a flyer, not a fighter.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Even when you rolled and stuff, do you reckon you ever entered that mode?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not when we were rolling. It
Okay.
was always just like, I knew I wasn't in danger.
I see.
But I've been in danger before and I know I'm a flyer.
I see. And there's no, I suppose there's no one better here. Because most people will say, and most martial arts masters that I've spoken to will say, if you have to choose between fighting and running, choose running every day of the week. But if you, only when you're backed into a corner, then choose to fight. Anyway, so I wanted to learn about myself, as in, who am I when put into the situation where it's literally combat? How are you going to respond? Like, what kind of person are you in that situation? And Jordan Peterson, in his stuff, talks about integrating the shadow and the darker part of yourself into your psyche. That's not exactly what I was going for. What I was more wanting to understand is there something darker within me that can be brought out by someone else putting it on me in a sparring session or a combat session? I really wanted to know whether that part of me existed. And I spoke with my coach. I said, look, this is what I'm after. It's not about a world title or becoming a great kickboxer. I just need to know that when put into that position, what side of me is going to emerge. And then he was completely on board with it. So then we set a goal. We just started training, and after about 7 months, the opportunity for my first amateur kickboxing tournament came out. And then I was all in. I just signed up right away, and the fight was 2 weeks ago.
Walk me through walking onto the mat for your briefing?
Should I just go through the whole day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go through the whole day.
Yeah.
Let me just stop this and start this quickly again,
Okay.
just in case it stops. I'm always terrified when I film on my phone that we're gonna lose everything.
Yeah. Because sometimes it stops by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
That's-
they think there's inactivity. Yeah.
That's
Is it
why I
on
keep
again?
checking. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're walking me through your day.
Yeah. Okay. The whole week, I was so fine because I had everything going really well for me. I was physically stupidly fit.
Oh, and talk me through like what is the training like?
Okay. So
Like, is it how did you guys program for the fight?
yeah, so in terms of the actual fighting side, complete props to Mark, who himself has fought around the world. He was like a national kickboxing champion. He's fought in Muay Thai. It's just very experienced, and he's my age. So we connected in many ways. Anyway, if anyone wants to check him out, his Insta handle is IAM_MarkBoy. He had a very philosophical approach to my training. So our first lesson was me shadowboxing with what little I had. He just said, just do whatever, just go shadowbox, and I'm gonna just watch you. And as I get to know you and your personality, your style will emerge, and we're gonna work on the parts that fit for you. So he wasn't one of those guys who would just say, you must fight this way. He wanted to find it for me.
It's a very Miyagi way to do things.
Yeah, I suppose, because the conversations we've had, me and him would have is, although you can teach someone a certain set of skills, even in weightlifting, a certain set of sequences, when they put it together, over time, they end up developing their own shit anyway. And it's very unique to that person. And it's the same thing for fighting. Why is it that from the same gym, the same teacher, teaching the same shit every day, every student seems to fight differently? Like, why is that? And there's a huge personality characteristic, and also like your body type and all that stuff. So after our shadowboxing session, he kind of had me doing some pad work, working on some simple drills, and immediately putting me into light sparring sessions with him. So he would just put certain personas on when he was fighting me, some more aggressive or pulling back, a kicker versus a puncher, and he'd see how I'd respond and see how I'd fight back. And it turns out that in the early stages, I was an aggressive counter puncher. So I just seemed to put my head down, and I didn't seem to stress out getting punched too much. I would just walk forward, chin down, hands up. But the good part was I would get punched, and then I would always fire back, which for apparently as a beginner doesn't really happen. As a beginner, once you start getting punched a few times, you shell up, you run up, you kind of move backwards, and that's very normal. But luckily for me, potentially it's just my personality. Maybe it's that competitive side, that stupid egotistical side, but I would just push forward. Even if I got kicked really hard, punched in the head, I got kicked in the body really hard once, and I felt it, but in that instant, that same voice in my head that prevented me from tapping to that Kesa submission, that same voice in my head just comes out and goes, you're not fucking moving backwards. You keep going and you keep firing back. And then from there, he just started teaching me, okay, this is the style you're going to adopt, these are the tools that you're going to need for this particular style. And then we started working on pullback hooks, roundhouse kicks, push kicks, things that were conducive.
I saw your kicks that you're working on that you posted the other day.
Yeah.
They were cool.
Yeah, they're cool. They're really cool. I don't know if I'll ever throw them in a session.
I saw people throw them on the mats though when I came and watched you.
Did you?
Yeah, like
Oh.
the guys after you, that little dude, man, that guy that was like a pit bull.
Oh yeah, his changing levels were so quick.
Yeah.
But was he throwing any spinning stuff?
No, the guy he was fighting did.
Okay. Was he the guy that the spinning guy beat him, in the
I
final.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm ever gonna do it, but I'd like to learn the skill.
Yeah, anyway, it was just cool to watch you do them. They were
Yeah,
cool kicks.
yeah. It felt cool too, and that's the fun part about
Yeah.
this whole thing. And so we'd have twice a week, 2 sessions a week, and that's it. That's all I'd have, and I'd just do about 2 days of strength training that I would get from my friend Dan, who's an S&C coach, and then I do 1 conditioning session plus a kind of longer duration, long distance run. So I was training probably 6 days a week. Sessions were maybe 45 to an hour long.
Yeah.
And my heart rate towards the back end of before the fight, my heart rate had averaged gone down to about high 40s, my resting heart rate. So I was in very, very good condition. My strength was still all there.
Which also showed on the day. Like in that first fight, like you did not lose your cool. It was just like, you know, whatever. Your bobbing and weaving game, dodging, like...
Yeah, it
was cool to see someone do their first fight and move like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it was cool to see in the second fight all of that disappear and you just go crazy.
Yeah, well, I'll run you through what was going on because I was actually very cognizant of that.
Yeah.
I was very cognitively aware of what was going on. It wasn't like I got punched and then I just went...
You didn't look like you freaked out. It just looked like you just went like, fuck this.
Gangbusters. Yeah, I did go fuck this, but I did it on purpose. So anyway, training's been great, and I guess I had a bit of confidence because I know physically that I'm probably across upper and like 1 class above and maybe even 2 classes above. Physically, strength-wise, I'm pretty good in that department. I'm not going to struggle for covering distance or leg strength. I'm okay there. I knew that fitness-wise, that I'm pretty good there too because, I mean, I just come off the back of running a marathon. So I'm not worried about my physical prep at all. And in terms of my skill level, I was only sparring Mark, who's a international level competitor. I'd sparred a couple other guys. One guy was training for about 10 years, and he was generous enough to pay me the compliment that for someone who's been training at the time for about 7 months, it seemed like I'd been training for about 2 years. So, like, there's a lot of confidence boosting things that I had on the day.
Yeah. And
I draw back to, you know, you talk to yourself. I've run a marathon. I was in so much pain. I've done Commonwealth Games. Like, it's not going to be a big deal, sort of thing. So the whole week of, I don't even bat an eyelid. It's not even, like on Monday, my fight was on Sunday. On Monday, wasn't even in my headspace. Even after our last training session, it was still not in my headspace. It didn't dawn on me that I had a fight on Sunday. Then on Saturday night, I purposely had a very light dinner. It was vegan. And
wait, have you been vegan this whole time?
No.
I don't know.
I just, on that day, I wanted to have something that wasn't going to potentially upset my stomach.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
So you decided to change everything you've been doing all the
just
time?
For that meal, just that one meal,
one
just
meal.
dinner.
Okay.
Just dinner. I just had rice and some tofu.
Okay, so stuff that you would eat anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then I went to bed and I slept like a fucking baby. I thought that I would have shit on my mind.
Yeah.
But I did not.
Did you sleep well before Com Games?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I think I told you that story, but I had just lost 3 kilos in a sauna. I closed my eyes properly and entered sleep for about 40 minutes before I competed. And then I woke up and went to the sauna again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I slept like a baby. I slept 7 hours straight. I woke up at 4:30. I was buzzing. Still, it had not dawned on me that in 12 hours time, I was going to be fighting someone. So I went about my day. I had breakfast. I read a book. Went for a walk. Listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. And had lunch. Still nothing's happening. But after breakfast, that's when it hit me. So it was about 8 o'clock, 8 or 9. That's when I started getting waves. I started getting waves of anxiety, I would say. I would get this insane upwards rising motion in my gut, and it would just feel like I was on a roller coaster and I was falling down.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's the first time you've had that?
To that extent, to that intensity, yes.
What do you think you were anxious about?
Many things, man. I was anxious about the violence. What if you get knocked out? CTA, you know. What if I throw a bad kick and I break my foot? What if they break my foot? What if I get hit in the body? Like, what if I have the shittest performance ever? What if I have I embarrass myself? What if
they make your fight meant to start at 2:00 start at 5:00?
Yeah, that as well. Yeah. Just everything and anything that could be a potential negative outcome
Went through your head.
Yeah. And it would happen for 20 minutes and then I'd have calm for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'd try and distract myself. I'd watch a television show, I'd listen to some music, maybe I'd read. But every hour, it was almost like a reset. 20 minutes of just that intense lifting feeling and then 40 minutes of calm. And all throughout that time, I'm dealing with these thoughts. It's almost like a meditation. I'm going to get knocked out. My counter to that thought is, yeah, but you haven't been knocked out yet. Like, you fought better guys and you haven't been even stunned yet. So trust yourself. What if you break your foot? It heals. What if you do something really embarrassing? Who cares? Like, everyone embarrasses themselves. And so I was just constantly in this mental battle with myself. And it didn't help that my fight kept getting pushed back. So it got pushed back for almost 3 hours. And because I've had the experience of competing, I know that I shouldn't be at a venue too early. Once you get to the venue, for me anyway, you just start getting distracted. You start thinking about it too much. So I made it a point that I only wanted to arrive 1 hour early. And that's what I did. So I arrived about 1 hour early before my fight started. And
I'm happy you told us though, because
oh yeah,
we would have been there early.
Yeah, I was not going to leave you guys in the dust, trust me. So I basically got there, and again, I think this is where my experience comes in as a competitor. I just know it's going to be full of nerves. You can smell the nerves when you go in there. It's all dudes, right? Dudes smell. So I walk in there and all I just the stench of stress just hits my nose. And I just had that familiar feeling of, I know what this is. And I walk over, I'm observing everyone's eyes, and I can see that this is a very stressful environment, and I made the complete right decision of not being here for that long.
Yeah.
And so I just got there, put my stuff down. I took a moment to really ground myself in the environment and take it all in and understand that you're not in your car anymore. You're not in the quiet of your home anymore. If you start feeling more anxious and more energy, that's because of the energy in the environment. So I kind of had that mental reset. And then, I think I was 40 minutes out at that point. I decided that I was going to go put on my cup, 30 minutes out.
Oh, I wanted to ask you if you were wearing a cup.
I was.
Because I did see in the fight before someone kicked the other person in the nuts.
Yeah, I was wearing a cup. I'm not risking the future health of my family for that competition.
Yeah.
So I did the routine. I just put on a cup, and as I have come to understand with weightlifting, you shouldn't warm up any differently than
how you train.
Exactly. And when I train with Mark, I do fuck all when I warm up. I just kind of wiggle my hip around, do a bit of leg hydrants, and then I throw my arms in the air a bit, and then I'm good to go. And I've sparred like that before too. So I just thought, again, I think I'm blessed with experience. I just said, okay, I'm going to do exactly that. So I got one of the training partners and I just said, for a warm up, let's just do this. So I just did some really light movement with him, more reactive stuff. And then that was it. I reckon I warmed up for about 5 minutes before the fight. So I warmed up for 5 minutes. And by this point, I think the nerves were at their peak, I would say. Because I'm feeling my body starting to get almost that hyperventilating sensation. I can feel my breaths getting more shallow. My thoughts are racing, and I'm starting to get a bit jittery in my speech. My lips are starting to quiver. I can feel all that happening, and I know the worst thing to do is to not admit that that's happening. So when my coach came over to ask, hey, we're gonna go on the mat, getting briefed, you're about to start.
Yeah.
You're gonna start off because you're the lightest weight group.
Yeah.
He asked me, are you nervous? And I just looked at him and I said, I'm really fucking nervous. And he just looked at me, he smiled, and he goes, that's it, bro. And I looked at him and I said, this is what I'm here for. Because I expected this. I wanted this.
Yeah.
I'm in fight or flight mode right now. So the name gets called out and I see the other guy, he looks taller than me. I'm like, fuck this, bro. Like, tall people, I fucking hate fighting tall people. And the ref looks at me and ref looks at him. I look at my coach and he just says, go out there and have fun. And 2 days ago, before the fight, I had practiced with my coach. I said, all I need is the first 10 seconds. All we got to practice is the first 10 seconds. Just give me the first 10 seconds. Let's repeat that a few times.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be good. So I kind of did this thing where I do it for my weightlifting as well before I lift on the competition platform, where I kind of look up and I thank something. I mean, it sounds a bit spiritual, but it's more like I'm just so appreciative of the experience that I'm having in that moment. I can't believe that I have this body that I can take and willingly put myself in this intense struggle, intense anxiety, but at the end of it have probably intense pleasure. I just can't believe that we're able to do this. We have the freedom to do this.
Yeah.
So I kind of did that, took a moment, took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and then when the coach said fight, as we know from high level competition, you can't think. The moment you think, it's game over. So I just started that fight off the exact same way I started that we practiced in the first 10 seconds. And I just moved, and I can't describe to you how I was doing what I was doing. I was switching stances, I was slipping, I was moving out of the way, I was almost dodging a kick before it even left the ground. I was just so in that moment and so intensely present that 90 seconds didn't feel like anything. By the time the first fight got called, I felt like I was only in there for 30 seconds. And then I won. I won that first match. And that competitive side, kind of, I guess some would even call it an ego. The competitive side just kind of, I guess, roared deep inside. And I was just waiting for the second guy. And so the second guy comes around, he fights, he wins, and he has a much more grueling match than I did. And I can see across the mat that his coach is telling him what to do.
So his coach was the ref as well, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
His coach was telling him what to do.
Yeah.
And look, it didn't matter to me.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
In between fights.
Oh, yeah.
And my coach was just saying to me, make sure you breathe. Just keep fighting the way you are. Because I fought really well.
Yeah,
on that first
really
fight.
well.
Yeah. And then, so I start off in the same way in the first 10 seconds, and it was fine. But as I come in to jab, he clips me with a right hook. And then I realize that he's a southpaw. And this whole time I've been fighting him, I've been mainly fighting against orthodox. So I'm fighting this southpaw, and I'm not used to having to face a right hook. And he nails me again. And I think by this time it was maybe 20 seconds into the fight, and the fights were only 90 seconds long. So I had a moment where I thought, all right, I'm behind. And what's the best thing I can do right now? I had two options. I had change stance, go into orthodox, start using my jab on my left arm so it neutralizes his hook, and then start fighting in kind of in and out game, fight on the outside, or I go back to being an aggressive counterpuncher like I was when I first started my fighting journey. And in that moment, I chose to be the aggressive counterpuncher.
And was this anything that you workshopped with your coach, or this was just like spur of the moment, I just got to make a decision?
Spur of the moment, make a decision. I just decided that if I wanted to find that darker part of myself, and I wanted to find that, I guess you could say that like a demon, or like that shadow inside me, that the part that's more aggressive, that part that's more angry, that I had to make it like a brawl. And so when I made that decision, I think it was maybe 60 seconds left, I just kind of put my head down, bit down on my mouthpiece, and I just kept pushing forward. And from that moment, it's all a blur. I just remember that I don't think I was off him for less than 2 seconds at any point. Even if he hit me, I would just take it, and it almost feed my drive. Every time I got hit, I almost got more and more willing to go in for more. And then before I knew it, I hear the 15-second buzzer, and he's fading away. He keeps moving backwards. So by the 15 seconds, I think I actually heard your voice, or maybe View. You guys just yelled at me, keep going. And my coach, I said to him before the fight, I said, no matter what happens, just keep yelling at me. Just keep saying, stay in hell, stay in hell, just stay in hell. And when I heard that, and I heard the buzzer, and I heard you boys, I just kind of clicked another switch. And like the exact language is probably something along the lines of, like, I don't give a fuck if you hit me. I'm not moving backwards. I don't care. I am going to keep pushing forward at you no matter what. And I mean, you can see it on Instagram. It's all on video. But in the last 15 seconds, I just start wailing. I'm grunting. I'm getting super aggressive, and I finish landing the last shot. I finish with an overhand left, I think, and the image is, I mean, props to that guy, because he could fight, and we had a very good brawl, but by the end of it, he collapsed onto the ground, not because I knocked him out. He was just tired, and I was standing up. I was tired too, but I don't think nearly as tired as he was.
Yeah.
And then
you just went the wrong way when well, you went off the wrong way, right?
Yeah, I did. I was just a bit loopy.
Dazed, yeah.
And then we got the decision, and there was a bit of confusion because some people thought that he won, and some people thought that I won. But I got the split decision, so I won my my first amateur kickboxing competition, and then and that was it. Really, that was the. And then afterwards, I went on a date with someone, and like I don't think that was a good idea, but I went. I went anyway. But I can't really articulate exactly the way it has shaped me for the future yet. I just know that when I get punched in the face, I know that I punch back.
All right. When you, how so after the competition, obviously you had a little bit of a headache. Next day, legs may have been a little bit sore, but like, what was the, like right after you won, right after you'd finished, what was the feeling?
I had extreme relief. I was so relieved that I was done with the fight.
Yeah.
I was very, very, I suppose the right word would be, I felt very grateful that I experienced it, I was very grateful that I was able to find that part of me or explore that part of me. I actually didn't really care that I won the trophy. I actually didn't really care that I won, per se. It was more that I put myself in a position and I got what I wanted out of myself. And I was very, very, very happy about that. And also contemplating whether I want to do it again.
And do you want to do it again?
Yeah, I do. I had a chat yesterday with my coach, and we think that maybe another 3 months. We'll work on some more technical side of things first, but maybe in another 3 months we would do it again. Because now the challenge for me, the joy for me is wanting to fight a beautiful fight as opposed to that brawl I had in the second one.
Yeah. Just like getting through it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the experience, maybe the experience, the psychological factor, but the next time around, if it comes, then it'd be the technical, more of the art side that I'd want to develop more.
You went on a date.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
In our first podcast, we talked about what you had to give up
Yeah.
to compete, and part of that was, sacrificing a really long-term relationship.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to be back on the dating scene?
So I'm hopeless with the whole dating scene because I just...
Are you on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge?
I just have... I suppose when everyone's younger and they're dating in the 19s, 20s, early 20s,
Yeah.
I was in a committed relationship and I don't regret it for a second. And that was, to this day, one of the best relationships, both friendship and romantic, that I've ever had. So...
Better than this current one?
Sorry?
Better than this current one?
Oh, it's still early days. Still early days. So I suppose there's a part that knew going into leaving weightlifting behind that this was a part of my own life that I needed to pay more attention to. Because at the end of the day, all of this sporting stuff is good and it's meaningful to the person and it keeps you healthy and all that stuff. But one of the, I guess, the best experiences in life coming from people who are elder than us is having a partner you can rely on and trust, and also starting a family with them at some point. The second part is up to the couples themselves, but biologically, I think if we have that ability, then there's something about it that would be extremely, extremely worthwhile and meaningful. So the actual dating itself, I suppose for me, it's a steep learning curve, because everything I've done so far the return on investment, so to speak, is very hours in, kind of gives you hours back. Like you put work into a business, you set something up, it kind of gives you something back. You put hours into weightlifting, you get some adaptation, gives you back. Kickboxing, running, all these things, you're going to get something immediately out of it.
Most of the time, it's a tendinopathy for you.
Yeah, or just knee pain in general. Yeah, left knee pain, right knee pain. What's new? Funnily enough,
just heart pain.
No, yeah, ego pain. Funnily enough, the most violent sport I'm doing now has made me feel the best I've ever felt. Like I got punched in the head. That was about it. But now with a relationship, and I was having a chat with my mum about this. It's all a gamble. There's no X amount of hours equals Y amount of output. There's none of that. It's, first of all, they have to like you back first, and then effort, personalities, what you do. There's so many more variables. So for me, that's the that's the challenging part, because you could put you could put 10 hours in potentially spending time getting to know someone, and then there could be no explanation. They don't owe you anything, and before you know it, it's done, and you're like, oh well, what do I do now? Do you move on to the next one, or do you kind of take time, reflect? Like, there's no right or wrong. And even if you do start dating someone, you could also be wrong. Like, you don't get that in running. If you get a 4:30 PB, it's a 4:30 PB.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could still be wrong. So I suppose that's the challenging part for me. Just like it's a very unknown thing. And this is a bit of a joke, but kind of serious as well, because most of my hobbies are physical. And also, not just physical, but I've also performed them to a reasonably decent level. I look for that in someone, in terms of, like, at the very least, just make sure you're active, make sure you're healthy. But my frame of reference is so stupidly high, because I'm surrounded by stupidly high level health people, that I have to come down to earth a little bit. It's no big deal if they're only training 3 or 4 times a week, and they're happy to just do a...
So you're alright with like a D grade?
Oh, I don't know about that. One of the running jokes I have with my mate is I just want them to be able to hold a 5:30 per kilometer pace. So when we go for runs together, we can keep up and like talk together, you know, like that'd be nice. But 5:30 is actually quite challenging. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, it's I've got to really like reset and look for things. I can't look at it from my frame of reference, because it's so stupidly high. I've got to come back down to like Middle Earth and just see things for what they are. Like, if you're a person, to all the girls out there, man, if you train 3 times a week or 4 times a week and you spend 45 minutes to an hour, that's already amazing. Or even if you just 3 times a week, that's already amazing. Don't feel like for me, because I'm used to seeing 5 times, 6 times a week, that's my norm.
Yeah.
So,
I disagree. I think you need to find someone who's at your level. So you either need to find someone who's like so polar opposite to you that you can like balance each other out.
Yeah.
Or she's just like exactly the same as you, so you can compete against her. You need to find some like hectic MMA girl that's gonna beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, maybe I should start joining some MMA gyms. Yeah, I guess we're moving into more of like a life topic now, but I don't like, if you ask me right now what are you looking for?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, man. Like, I honestly, it's great if you train or you look after your health.
Yeah. What's her name?
Huh?
What's her name?
I'm not telling you. We're not going there. But like, there's other stuff that I think about that, and I'm not being. I know how this may come across, but if you can cook, like, that's great, and it's vice versa too. If a dude can cook, that's great too. I like food, and
So why did you bring it up then?
because I like the ability to have conversations about food in the future. Like, as in, in the long scale of things, if I have a family, I genuinely believe that where basic good eating habits begin is just in the home. Like, no one, right now in the health industry anyway, we're teaching people how to macronutrient count, we're teaching people food groups, all this stuff. That's great. But if we're doing that, it's too late already. Like, they're looking at that for a reason. It's because they weren't able to get to where they wanted to, and hence they're seeking that information. And so if you can cook well and you can make simple foods with the right spices, taste amazing, still healthy, then you lay an extremely strong platform for one of the most important parts of health for your own family. And that's something I'm doing as well. I'm trying to learn how to cook more, because one day, if I do raise children, I want them to think that eating at home and the foods at home are tasty and it's healthy. And that's where it starts for like health education anyway, for me.
Fair enough. Is having a family important to you?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe not in the next few years, but once I get to about 32, 33, I think that it would be pretty important part of life. Because, I mean, you can work for 30 years, retire 65, 67, whatever it is. And then what's left?
And what's cool is that times really well with 2 more Com Games.
Yeah, well, the next one is next year.
Yeah,
when
and
I'm
then you got
29.
another 4 years.
Yeah, but
Would you ever compete again in weightlifting?
Look, that's a really good question, and I think we've known each other for a long time now, and that person you see on the platform is very different to the person you see now. You know, there's
You're a lot bigger.
a lot bigger. I'm a lot faster, a lot stronger, but my whole demeanor is different. Like, I'm just that person on that stage is just, it's that competitive side that's up there. And do I want to feed that wolf? That's always the question. Because when I do feed it, it comes out, and it becomes it's like a driving force in my life, and like nothing will stop me, as evident by my marathon running, as evident by my kickboxing so
And I
far.
guess, should you?
Yeah.
Is another question. It's like,
Well,
just because you can
doesn't mean I
and
should.
want to doesn't mean you should. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Like you're on this path now of, you know, you're dating, you're doing business.
I'm living other parts of life a bit more. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I want to say that I place more emphasis on other aspects of life, more of the social side, and I want to prepare for the future, my future life when I'm in my 30s. But at the same time, I always feel like there's this part of me that is very opportunistic. I just see opportunity in everything. And now I see potentially there's an opportunity with coming back to weightlifting. And is it not a waste if I don't do it? That's kind of like these thoughts, I'm always struggling with these.
Like, are you wasting not only the talent, but also like, you know, the ability that you know you have? Like, you know you can do it, right?
I am...
Or you have a lot of faith that you could do it again?
I have faith that even if I don't make it, I'll come very, very close. And that's enough for me. That's enough for me. Like, I would, if I decided to do something like this again, I would already be at peace with failing.
Yeah.
I would be very happy with getting maybe within second rank, win, lose, I'd be happy, because I've come to appreciate the journeys more than the outcome. But going back to what you said, it's that confidence, and I know I have the conviction. So,
and you also have, you know, you have the drive to put yourself through that again.
I do, yeah. And like you said, I kind of feel a bit big-headed for saying this, but I know that I can, if I put in the time again, I can reach a certain level in this country. And I know that I have been born with a body that is
small and strong,
with long arms, so good for snatch, good for jab too. And is it not a waste? Like, that's kind of what always gets into my mind. And then, you know, all these positive self-confirming things come into your head. Like, I'm still young, supposedly. Like, I turned 28 2 days ago. No, I turned 28 yesterday. I'm not even 30 yet. I am not past my physical prime, but I'm going to be. So do I not utilize most of it now? Like, why would I not do that? Why would I, if I don't do it now when I'm in my 30s, I don't get to. You just aren't as powerful as you are when you're younger. And obviously, if my company grows, which I fully intended to, then my time is going to be limited as well. So why not? Like, why wouldn't you do it? But then the struggle then is the opposite, which is I am enjoying my life. I have a sport that I genuinely find fun. There's variety. It gives me something that I appreciate. My life right now is constructed in a way where the moment my business company requires more time of me, I can very quickly take up more hours because I'm flexible. And also, like, I'm experiencing the more social side of life. I actually get to hang out with my friends on a late night if I want to. I can go have a drink if I want to. I can meet potential romantic partners as well. I don't need to always say that I got to be home by a certain time.
Yeah, you don't have to be at training. You don't have to spend 4 hours at training.
Yeah, and I know it's good for me. But then there's the other side as well. I know that, like, I look at it from my own perspective, but then I look at it from if I was somebody else looking in who didn't know me, they would say, man, if you have a shot, like, why wouldn't you do it? This is a once in a lifetime experience. Not pretty much 0.1% of the people in the world will ever get to experience even coming close to something like this. Why the hell wouldn't you do it? Like, I can't do it because I'm born with this body. I'm born with this certain level of personality. I can't do it, but you can. So why wouldn't you do it?
Because you've done it already.
Yeah, I have. But why wouldn't you do it again?
Because you've done it already.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you look for another challenge? Why also, like, you know, it's not like you're fighting, not to be rude, but like, it's not like you're fighting for a medal.
No.
You'd be fighting to participate at
Yeah.
the Commonwealth Games, which is cool, representing the green and gold.
Yeah.
That's an amazing achievement.
Yeah.
It's fucking really cool. But, you know, you'd just be going again.
Yeah. I'd just be going again. I'd soak up the experience again, which I suppose would not be too dissimilar to the one last time.
But this time you could use it as a way of finding another high-level athlete romantic partner. Because athlete villages are apparently pretty crazy. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I saw much of it, but yeah, the stories go, I mean, I saw indirectly what was happening, but then I got to wait another year. I got to wait. Oh, well, I mean, the most obvious one is just when you first walk in, there's condoms everywhere in like kind of like the base medical center. There's condoms just in a bowl, and it's pretty much full until everyone finishes all their sports, and the moment everyone's done, the bowl's empty. Yeah, so you make of that what you will.
Everyone's having balloon parties.
Yeah, water balloon parties. Yeah, so I mean that's my anecdote on that part. But yeah, that's kind of like the internal struggle that I go through, probably almost on a weekly basis. I'm always just, I call it the, I feel like I have this curse, and this sounds so almost entitled.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I have this curse of opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like I have so many options, and I'm running out of time, and I have to choose. I have to choose the ones that probably are the best for me, and yet I feel like they all got good elements to it.
So what we should do is like put out a survey and be like, what should Phil choose? And then the audience can decide.
yeah. I'm pretty sure most of them would say just go for the Commonwealth Games. I've spoken to
a biased audience.
Yeah, well, most of you guys are weightlifters or strength people. So yeah, that's I have no answer. I just know that either way, no matter which direction I go in, I'm gonna I'm gonna eventually um, I'm gonna eventually I'm gonna be happy with whichever way I go. It's just about which one can wait and which one can't wait. So if I had to go through that paradigm, I'd go, well, Com Games can't wait, because Com Games or weightlifting in general, if I wanted to make the next Com Games, it's in 20 next year. I only have, if I wanted to do it, 9 months to prepare to make the team, and who knows even if I'll make the team. But kickboxing, I can wait. I can do that again next year. Or do I just can them all together and just focus on my personal side?
Or business.
Or business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, business will always be there. I will always put that as first priority, because training doesn't take me that long. And work right now isn't taking all that time off me either, so I can manage it. So it's just...
It's whether you want to put your life on hold.
Yeah, again, and luckily for me, either luckily or unluckily, right now, the sacrifice wouldn't be that large. I mean, the sacrifice the first time, that was large. This time, it wouldn't be that large. I'm not in anything committed. I don't have to worry about anyone else. I'm living on my own now, so there's more time on my own hands. I live closer towards the training center, so that's actually going good for me. Like, environment-wise, you could argue that it's more conducive towards producing high level competition than I was back 3 years ago. If I had to look at it that way.
So I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I asked you this before the podcast, but as a coach and friend, when you hear me talking my thoughts out like this to you, what would you suggest from a coach and a friend perspective, not as a weightlifting fan?
As a friend,
yeah,
I think you've done it already, and I don't think there's a need to put your life on hold again and put yourself through another slog like that, because for your life goals, with business, with your personal life, all of those things, I think that you can put that stuff on hold, but like, why do you want to? Like, why not work through that and make that the best it can be now? As like a weightlifting coach, if you came to me and was like, hey, this is my goal, do you think it's achievable? I would be like, yes, it's definitely achievable. And if that is something that you want to do, like, these are the things that you need to, like, you already know what you need to do it. You can. I personally don't think you should do it. If there was an option for it, do I think you could do it though? 100%.
Thanks, man.
If you decided to do it, would I be in your corner? 100%. If you decided not to do it, which wouldn't change anything, I'll still come watch your next fight.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that perspective, because I think it's no offense to the viewers here, but unless you're in the game, in the circle, you're a coach, or you've known what I've gone through, and you know the sacrifice it takes, it's very easy to just say, just go for it. Just, like, why not? What an experience. But they don't understand just the amount of commitment and sacrifice that's needed. So, like, I've asked 3 people. I mean, mum and dad, I count as one. 2, you're the third. 2 have said no, don't do it again. And 1 has said yes.
What did mum and dad say?
No, don't do it again. Mum and dad.
Who are the ones that said yes, do it again?
One of my close friends, her name's Najat Curie.
Yeah.
You know Najat Curie?
No.
She used to be one of the strongest powerlifters in the world.
Yeah.
So I think she's the number 1 ranked female powerlifter when she retired. But basically, she's a boss in powerlifting. I think she's got like a 220 squat or something. Anyway, got into world championships, everything. Anyway, her perspective, again, she knows my situation. We're very close. Her one was, look, you're young, you're more than capable. You're in a better position now in your life than you were 4 years ago, and this is going to be a new experience for you. It's not going to be making the Com Games. That's the previous experience. It's going to be a new experience again. It's going to be about something else, and you're going to learn something from this new one that will be of value to you in the future.
You've swayed me.
That's her. That's her perspective, and I appreciate that too, because she, like me, we both have that kind of persistent, nagging, relentless drive to compete. And I think one of our friends, mutual friends, Vu, recently said that about me and him. We're just that's what we are. That's part of what I am. I seem to just crave competition. I can't explain it. I just seem to have it. And so she gets that part of me. And so she kind of knows that if I don't do it, I will have that part of me will always be chirping away at me. And then mum and dad were very mum and dad kind of said the same thing as the first time. You sure? Like, it's a lot of work. I don't think you should do it. But that's just mum and dad. Like, they saw how hard I worked the first time. And like any loving parent, you want your child to probably have a bit more of a life.
Yeah.
And look after themselves a bit more, not go through stupid weight cuts. So, my dad was pretty funny. He said, "Are you sure? You're going to be 29 next year. That's pretty old." Which I disagree with in terms of biological reasons, but that's kind of where they're at in terms of their mind. But yeah, you guys are the only three I've really spoken to about this. Like I said, I have to choose very carefully who I pick, because if I choose just anyone under the sun, they're just most likely going to tell me, yeah, go for it, without considering the whole picture.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see your next adventure, whatever it may be. Yeah,
that's the key word. It's the adventure of it. It's kind of the journey. So I don't know what's going to happen. At this stage, I'm on the kind of on the fence.
CrossFit. Oh.
Yeah, no, not CrossFit. yeah, not CrossFit. No, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I want to feed that part of me again. Yeah. That weightlifting part. I don't want to. That wolf in me has been dormant, and I think it's at this stage I can feel it coming up again, and I don't want to feed it too much.
Fair enough. I won't push it then. Where can people find you?
Just go on my Instagram, Phillip.Liao.
Guys,
very simple. Sorry, cut you off.
You're right. Guys, you can find Raw Barbell Club at Raw Barbell Club on all of our social medias. So that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. If you're watching this, we're posting a whole bunch of cool YouTube videos now. We've got a full snatch fundamental series. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to snatch, you now can for free on YouTube. And yeah, guys, check out the merch at rawbarbellclub.com/shop. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for making me start doing these again.
Yeah, you should, because they're pretty good. Thanks for having me, Andy, as usual. I feel like this was more of an exploration of my mind, as it was actually like a therapy session.
That's all right. It was fun. All right, see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.